I still remember the day I walked into my doctor's office, fully expecting a pat on the back for my good lab results. Instead, I was met with a stern look and a warning that my cholesterol levels weren't ideal. At 78 years old, I'd heard the same lecture for decades. Lower is better, and watch out for fatty foods. But something in my gut told me this was only half the story. After all, my neighbor Charles, 82 years old, had slightly higher cholesterol than I did. Yet he was out in his garden every morning, feeling more vibrant and alive than folks 20 years younger. That day, I decided to dig deeper, and what I discovered about cholesterol after 75 changed everything I thought I knew. You see, many seniors are handed a one-size-fits-all guideline about cholesterol. We're told to fear it like the plague, to cut out foods we enjoy, and to rely on medication to keep those numbers in a safe zone. The problem is that these recommendations often come from data that doesn't fully account for the unique biology and lifestyle factors of older adults. For many seniors, especially those past 75, the dangers of extremely low cholesterol can be just as concerning as having it slightly above the so-called normal range. When we lose sight of these nuances, we risk surrendering our health decisions and our independence to outdated rules. The stakes couldn't be higher. I've seen too many people in their 70s, 80s, and beyond who become convinced that strict cholesterol control is the only path to a healthy old age. Unfortunately, this fixation can mean missing out on nutrient-dense foods we love, feeling overly reliant on prescriptions, and living with needless worry that every bite of eggs or meat is harming us. The result? Stress and restrictions that leave us less autonomous, not more. None of us wants to lose the ability to decide what's best for our bodies. If you keep watching, you'll discover 7 surprising truths that will shift your perspective on cholesterol after 75 and help you make more informed, independent choices about your life. Over the next few minutes, I'll share 7 key insights that could change how you view your diet, your doctor's advice, and even your future. One of these insights is so rarely discussed that even seasoned physicians sometimes overlook it. And this missing piece can be a game changer for anyone who wants to remain active and self-sufficient well into their golden years. By the end of this video, you'll see how science is catching up to something your body may have been telling you all along. Health in older age isn't solely about low numbers, but about finding the balance that keeps you strong, vibrant, and in control of your life. What I'm about to share doesn't come from thin air. Current research on aging populations is uncovering truths that were previously dismissed. More and more forward-thinking doctors are beginning to realize that older adults have different needs than younger ones. And after years of observing seniors who are not just surviving but thriving, I've come to see patterns that aren't always reflected in standard guidelines. Before we dive into the heart of this topic, I invite you to subscribe and click the notification bell, especially if you find this kind of senior-focused content helpful. If at the end of this video, you feel this information helped you see things in a new light, type 1 in the comments below. And if you disagree or feel it didn't resonate, type 0 so I can continue improving and bringing you the insights that matter most. Now let's explore these 7 eye-opening truths about cholesterol after 75 and discover how you can use them to protect your independence and well-being. The first thing we need to address is a widely held belief that has shaped every doctor's visit for decades. The idea that you must drive your cholesterol as low as possible to stay healthy. This notion, while popular, can overlook the complexities of an aging body. Many seniors still subscribe to it, believing it's the only way to avoid heart disease. But here's where it gets interesting. For some older adults, especially those over 75, extremely low cholesterol levels can correlate with issues like weakened immune function, poor nutrient absorption, and even mood changes. It's almost as though our bodies, having weathered life storms, need a bit more cholesterol than we realize. Think about Betty, a 77-year-old retired librarian. She was so proud when her cholesterol levels were deemed perfect by her doctor, down below 150 total. But shortly after she hit that target, she found herself fatigued, catching colds frequently, and struggling with constant aches she'd never had before. Her doctor insisted everything was fine, but Betty's quality of life was slipping away. Then a more holistic practitioner pointed out that in older age, Going too low can deprive the body of certain protective fats. Betty gradually allowed her levels to rise into a moderate range. The result? Her energy returned, her immune system got a needed boost, and she found a new sense of confidence. The bigger lesson? Sometimes chasing the lowest possible number can do more harm than good. Now, I'm not saying everyone should ignore their doctor's advice about cholesterol. The key is understanding that your body changes with age, and so do your nutritional and physiological needs. If you blindly follow the same cholesterol guidelines you adhered to in your 50s or 60s, you could be missing an important piece of the puzzle. A memorable phrase to keep in mind is this: balance, not bottoming out. Strive for a range that feels right for your body, one that supports your energy, mood, and day-to-day function, rather than simply hitting a low target on a test result. One of the simplest steps you can take right now is to track how you feel, not just the numbers on a lab report. Keep a small notebook and note things like energy levels, any new aches or pains, mood changes, or illnesses. Compare these observations to times when your cholesterol was at different levels. This process can help you and your healthcare provider see a bigger picture rather than focusing on a single measure of ideal health. The emotional benefit here is knowing you have a say in your wellness plan. You become the driver of your health decisions rather than a passive passenger on a medical conveyor belt. Let's talk about the second big misconception: the belief that only LDL, the so-called bad cholesterol, matters. So many seniors fixate on lowering LDL to the exclusion of everything else: HDL, triglycerides, and, most importantly, how they're feeling day to day. The assumption is that LDL is the villain, period. But the truth is more nuanced. Emerging research suggests that, especially in older populations, the ratio of LDL to HDL can be far more informative than simply the raw LDL number alone. If you aim to force LDL down without nurturing your HDL, good cholesterol, you could inadvertently create imbalances that leave you vulnerable to a host of other issues. For instance, consider Jerry, 80, who was told to slash his LDL levels. He became hyper-focused on eating only low cholesterol foods, skipping healthy fats like avocado and olive oil, which can actually help boost HDL. His LDL plummeted, but so did his HDL. Suddenly, Jerry's total cholesterol looked better on paper, yet he started noticing he was more tired and more prone to bruises that took forever to heal. A second opinion showed that he lacked essential nutrients because he'd cut out nearly all fats to achieve that low LDL. When he reintroduced healthy fats, foods once demonized for containing cholesterol, his energy improved, his bruises healed faster, and his overall cholesterol ratio balanced out. The change was night and day. The surprising insight here is that not all cholesterol is created equal. When you focus solely on lowering LDL, you can miss the protective benefits of HDL, which helps remove excess cholesterol from the bloodstream and supports key bodily processes. By striking a better ratio, rather than trying to drive one number into the ground, you set yourself up for a healthier, more resilient system. A slogan to remember: good fats feed a good life. What's a practical tip to start balancing your cholesterol ratio? Add some HDL-friendly foods like nuts, seeds, and oily fish to your weekly meal plan. Don't be afraid of moderate amounts of foods that contain dietary cholesterol, as long as you balance them with fiber-rich vegetables and a sensible approach to portion sizes. Doing this helps keep your ratios in check and promotes heart health that aligns with the needs of an older body. Now, if you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, let me know by commenting 2 below, because we're now 2 points in. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so. It helps me bring you even more content tailored to your stage in life. Moving on, let's address something you rarely hear in a doctor's office: the link between cholesterol, mental clarity, and overall brain health. The conventional wisdom says cholesterol is all about heart disease risk. But what if I told you that cholesterol also plays a critical role in the brain, particularly in seniors? That's where the third big point comes into focus. Extremely low levels of cholesterol in older adults have been associated with cognitive issues and even memory problems. Take Lorraine, age 79. She was placed on a strong statin medication after a borderline high cholesterol test. At first, it seemed fine. Her LDL dipped, and her doctor was pleased. But after a few months, Lorraine found herself struggling with word recall and short-term memory lapses. She chalked it up to normal aging until her grandson noticed she'd forgotten her own phone number. Alarmed, she consulted a specialist who pointed to her drastically lowered cholesterol as a possible factor contributing to her cognitive fog. With careful adjustments and monitoring her diet to ensure she got enough healthy fats, Lorraine began to regain her mental sharpness. The counterintuitive truth here is that while certain doctors recommend aggressively lowering cholesterol to protect your heart, they may be overlooking the brain's need for adequate cholesterol to maintain healthy function. Cholesterol is a building block of brain cells, helping with everything from cell repair to nerve function. So if you're pushing cholesterol too low, you might be compromising the very thing that keeps your mind sharp and your independence secure. The best actionable step? Don't just look at heart health markers. Keep an eye on your mental clarity as well. If you notice a dip in your memory, focus, or mood after a significant change in your cholesterol levels, whether it's a new medication or a drastic dietary shift, bring it up with your healthcare provider. Ask about the bigger picture of how cholesterol interacts with cognitive health, rather than focusing only on a heart-centric approach. The emotional benefit is huge. Preserving mental clarity is directly tied to maintaining control over your life choices. It's not just about living longer, it's about living fully, making your own decisions, and engaging with the world around you with a clear mind. And that brings us to our fourth point, the often overlooked relationship between cholesterol and hormonal balance. Yes, cholesterol is the backbone for many hormones. Testosterone, estrogen, cortisol, and others that play pivotal roles in how you handle stress, build muscle, and maintain vitality. Many older adults don't realize that if they drive their cholesterol too low, they might inadvertently disrupt hormone production, leading to feelings of fatigue, weakened bones, or reduced muscle mass. Let me share Hank's story. At 76, he was active, enjoying woodworking and light hikes with his grandkids. His doctor put him on an aggressive plan to cut his cholesterol, hoping to bring his LDL down by 50 points. Hank followed this plan diligently, proud to be taking charge of his heart health. But within 6 months, he noticed a dramatic loss of muscle strength and a dip in his motivation, something he'd never encountered before. He felt weaker, struggled to lift the same loads in his workshop, and found himself napping far more often than he liked. When he finally dug deeper, he learned that his testosterone levels had plummeted, partly due to his drastically reduced cholesterol. Here's the surprising insight. Your body uses cholesterol to manufacture hormones that keep you feeling strong and emotionally balanced. Slash your cholesterol too aggressively, and you might be undermining the very foundation of your vitality. A practical step towards safeguarding hormonal balance is to include moderate portions of healthy saturated fats, such as coconut oil or organic butter, alongside your usual meals. These can help support stable hormone levels, especially when paired with nutrient-rich fruits, vegetables, and proteins. Emotionally understanding and preserving your hormonal balance can be the difference between a vibrant, active life and one where you feel like you're constantly struggling just to keep up. It's about maintaining a sense of autonomy over your body's functions, not handing over all control to the number on a lab result. If you're still with me at this point, give a quick comment with 4 below so I know you're finding this helpful. And if you haven't already, remember to subscribe and tap the bell icon for more insights on living your best life after 65. Now we're halfway through, and it's time for a fifth crucial point, the role of inflammation in heart health. All too often, seniors focus on cholesterol to the exclusion of almost everything else. But many experts now recognize that inflammation, triggered by stress, poor diet, or chronic conditions, may be the real culprit behind cardiovascular problems. In older adults, mild inflammation can become chronic if not addressed, putting more strain on the heart and blood vessels than cholesterol alone might. Imagine Eileen, 83, who had moderately high cholesterol but was otherwise healthy and active. She loved gardening, spent time with her great-grandchildren, and generally felt strong. Then she began experiencing bouts of unexplained fatigue and joint pain. Rather than investigating inflammation, Her primary doctor zeroed in on her cholesterol, deciding she needed to lower it further. Months went by and Eileen's fatigue got worse, even though her cholesterol was now in the optimal range. Eventually, another health professional tested her for inflammatory markers and found them off the charts. Turns out an untreated autoimmune flare-up was causing the majority of her symptoms, not her cholesterol levels. By focusing on reducing inflammation through diet adjustments, stress management, and targeted supplements, Eileen felt better almost immediately, and her heart health improved too. The counterintuitive truth? Lowering cholesterol while ignoring inflammation is like treating only one symptom of a more complex problem. Your heart health and overall wellness depends on keeping inflammation in check, which often involves reducing processed foods, sugar, and chronic stress more than simply hitting a certain cholesterol number. A memorable phrase to keep in mind: calm the fire, don't just douse the smoke. What can you do about it right now? Consider adding anti-inflammatory foods like turmeric, ginger, leafy greens, and berries to your meals. Incorporate gentle exercises like swimming or Tai Chi that help keep your joints moving without overstressing them. And, perhaps most importantly, pay attention to emotional stress, whether it's from relationships, finances, or an overloaded schedule, and find healthy ways to manage it. When you address inflammation, you address a core driver of many age-related health issues, which can free you to enjoy life on your own terms. Moving to the sixth point, let's talk about the social and emotional toll of obsessing over cholesterol numbers. Yes, it's not just about biology. This is about the stress and anxiety that can come with constantly worrying over every new lab report. Have you ever postponed a vacation or skipped a family gathering just because you were worried about your diet's impact on your cholesterol? Far too many seniors sacrifice joys in life, believing they must be on perpetual alert to keep their levels in check. Take Clara, 78, who used to bake cookies every Sunday with her grandchildren. She derived immense happiness from this routine, passing down family recipes and watching the kids learn new skills. Then after one borderline lab result, she cut out nearly all sweets and butter, canceled Sunday baking, and turned to sugar-free and fat-free substitutes that no one really enjoyed. Sure, her cholesterol dipped a few points, but she also noticed she felt more anxious, had trouble sleeping, and missed those special moments of bonding with her family. After talking with a more open-minded nutrition counselor, Clara realized that moderation, rather than complete restriction, could bring her cholesterol to a reasonable place without robbing her of life's simple pleasures. The surprising insight? Emotional stress and isolation can take a bigger toll on your heart than occasionally indulging in a treat. When you become consumed by the fear of ruining your numbers, you risk depriving yourself of social connections, experiences, and the overall joy that keeps you mentally and emotionally healthy. A practical step here is to reintroduce small pleasures mindfully. Rather than eating 3 cookies, have one and savor each bite. Replace fear with awareness, focusing on how your body feels, not just what a lab sheet says. The emotional benefit of releasing this anxiety around cholesterol is massive. You return to a state of ownership over your life. You no longer let a test dictate your happiness, but instead use medical advice as a guide. One piece of a larger puzzle that is your total well-being. If you found value so far and are still here, type 6 in the comments. It's wonderful to know how many of you are engaging with this message. And remember, subscribing ensures you won't miss the final, crucial topics that might just change your perspective on health and independence. And finally, we arrive at the 7th point, which is arguably the most overlooked. Your diet, lifestyle, and stress management are far more dynamic than a single cholesterol reading. It's easy to get tunnel vision on one number, but real health is multifaceted. Everything from how well you sleep and how often you socialize to the kind of spiritual or personal fulfillment you have plays a role in keeping your body balanced. Think of cholesterol as just one spoke in the wheel. If you put all your energy into fixing one spoke, but ignore a cracked rim or a wobbly axle, the wheel won't be stable. Meet Roger, 84, who despite having borderline high cholesterol, leads a full life. He walks 3 miles every morning, hosts a weekly card game, and volunteers at a local community center. He never gave much thought to his cholesterol because he was simply too busy living an active life. When he finally got around to visiting his doctor, he discovered his cholesterol numbers were higher than average, but his blood pressure and inflammatory markers were fine. His doctor was puzzled at how healthy Roger seemed despite his labs not matching ideal guidelines. As it turned out, Roger's daily routine, filled with physical activity, social connection, and emotional satisfaction, was enough to keep him thriving. He chose not to start medication immediately, opting instead for minor dietary adjustments. Years later, he's still going strong, proving that focusing on a well-rounded life can sometimes be a more powerful strategy than hyper-focusing on a single health metric. The counterintuitive truth is that your overall lifestyle can buffer many potential risks associated with higher cholesterol. Stress relief practices like gentle yoga, warm baths, or even simple breathing exercises can reduce the negative impact of mildly elevated cholesterol. Prioritizing face-to-face interactions with loved ones can boost your mood, lower stress hormones, and even help regulate blood pressure, which ties back into overall cardiovascular health. In practical terms, take stock of your entire life, not just the food you eat or the pills you take. Are you sleeping well? Do you have a sense of purpose that gets you out of bed every morning with excitement? Are you connected with a community, whether it's family, friends, or a local group? These factors can outweigh the impact of a cholesterol reading that's slightly above what might be deemed normal. The emotional benefit is tremendous. By broadening your definition of health, you free yourself from the tyranny of single test results and reclaim control of your narrative. You become a well-rounded individual who values emotional, mental, and social well-being just as much as physical wellness. As we near the end of this journey, let's reflect for a moment on everything we've covered. Think about the initial story, how I walked into that doctor's office fully expecting good news, only to realize the advice I was getting might not align with my stage of life. The real eye-opener was discovering that cholesterol, especially in older age, is part of a bigger puzzle involving hormones, inflammation, brain health, and emotional well-being. Your path forward is clear. If you take even one of these 7 insights to heart, you can shift your relationship with cholesterol from one of fear and restriction to one of informed confidence. You stand to gain renewed energy, sharper mental clarity, stable hormones, reduced inflammation, and the freedom to enjoy life without the constant anxiety over a single test result. But here's a critical note. These insights only work if you take action. Waiting for the perfect moment or the next appointment could mean missing opportunities to preserve your independence and joy right now. So which of these insights resonated most with you? Maybe it's the realization that aggressively lowering cholesterol can hurt your brain function, or perhaps you're intrigued by how focusing on inflammation could be more vital than obsessing over LDL levels. I encourage you to pause. Envision your daily life with these adjustments in place. What would it feel like to wake up without the stress of counting every gram of cholesterol? How liberating would it be to share a homemade treat with your family without fearing you've doomed your heart health? Even small steps, like adding anti-inflammatory foods to your diet or allowing yourself a weekly treat, can make a noticeable difference. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below sharing which point spoke to you and how you plan to use it in your own life. Your experiences not only help others see the possibilities, but they also inspire me to continue providing relevant, research-backed tips for seniors. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who might benefit. Your support truly makes a difference. It allows me to keep creating content aimed at improving quality of life for those of us in our golden years. Finally, remember that independence doesn't fade with age unless we allow it to. Every day you make choices that either support or undermine your freedom. When you understand the real story behind cholesterol and how it fits into the grander scheme of your well-being, you empower yourself to live on your own terms. No longer do you have to be at the mercy of outdated guidelines. You become a conscious participant in your health journey, equipped to challenge misconceptions and embrace the full richness life has to offer. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I look forward to hearing your stories, learning from your experiences, and exploring more ways we can all live independently and happily for many years to come. Stay strong, stay informed, and never forget that you hold the power to shape your future, one decision at a time.